So let's now start our discussion with the letter parts. Regardless of where you are in your career or what field you are in, knowing the parts of the letter is important because letters are used when mailing documents, filing formal requests, or sending professional documents. The professional letter is typically includes 7 key parts. So here is what you should include in every letter you are writing. First is the sender's address. The sender's address is usually included on the letterhead and is typically found in the upper left-hand corner of the page. The purpose of the sender's address is for the reader to identify and provides a way to contact you in return. And this includes important contextual information such as the house number or building number, street address, city, state, and zip code. If you are sending from a business, you may include your company name, but if you are the one who is writing the letter, you don't need to include your name or title in it since you will sign the letter after writing. Next is the date. The date line is used to indicate the date the letter was written because whoever receives the letter needs to know when the letter was written. And when writing a letter, it is best to use the standard American date format. Next is the recipient's address, or also called the inside address. This includes the name of the person to whom you are writing. The purpose of the recipient's address is to ensure that the letter doesn't get lost in the office shuffle wherever you are sending it. The first line should be the name, including any honorifics such as Mr., Miss, Doctor, etc. The second line is the recipient's job title. Their company's name goes on the third line, and the remaining lines, including street address, city, state, and zip code. Next is the salutation. The salutation is the greeting at the beginning of a letter. The salutation is the greeting made up of parts, which are first a word of welcome such as dear, a title such as Miss or Mr., and the individual's name. If you don't know a reader's gender, use a non-sexist salutation such as their job title followed by the receiver's name. It is also acceptable to use the full name in a salutation if you cannot determine the gender. Next is the body. The body of the letter contains the message. When writing a letter, be careful to remember that conciseness is very important. In the first paragraph, consider a friendly opening and then a statement of the main point. The next paragraph should begin by justifying the importance of the main point with background information and supporting details. And for the final paragraph, restates the purpose of the letter. In some cases, request some type of action.
There. Good day, everyone. I am Dimple again, and today I am going to discuss further the parts of the letter which Miss Abuyan did a while ago. So let's now proceed to the closing or signature. In closing and signature, you should stick with more formal closing, such as sincerely or thank you, just like in the example. You should only capitalize the first word of the closing. Also, remember to follow the closing with 4 lines of space in order to make room for your signature, which demonstrates your personal stamp of approval of the letter's content. Next is we have enclosures. If there are additional items to enclose with the letter, it's best to list them so that the recipient remembers what was included in the letter. Include enclosures 3 lines below your signature or 1 line below the typist initials. Now, what are the essential parts of a business letter? Out of all the parts of business letter, there are 2 things about how to write a business letter that can make or break a letter's effectiveness. It needs to have the name of the human being and the recipient address and salutation, just like what you have saw in the screen. And the body of the letter needs to quickly get to the point and persuade the reader. And you can see that in the provided example. Use the first paragraph of the letter to quickly and clearly state of the purpose of the letter. And then in the second paragraph, provide the empirical evidence or persuasion to back up the point made in the first paragraph. By the third or fourth paragraph, repeat the main point of the letter and then close with a call to action. And the parts that I have mentioned is you can see in the provided example. Now, what are the optional parts of a business letter? There are a number of optional parts in the business letters that you might find helpful. First one is the attention line. If the letter is going to a large company, an attention line can provide a bit of necessary emphasis you need so that the letter goes where it needs to go. You can write attention and then the name of the recipient. Like for example, the word attention and the name of the recipient, which is human resources. The attention line should go 2 lines below the recipient address. Next is we have subject or reference line. This part can focus on the recipient on the letter's actual purpose. You can start with subject or the re, or you can write it in all caps, which you can see clearly in the provided example.
Good day everyone. Now we will proceed with the letter formats. There are three major letter formats that are commonly used. It is the block format, modified format, and the simplified format. And these formats differ in the way paragraphs are indented, the way letter parts are placed, and in some punctuation. Now let us proceed with the first letter format, which is the block format. Alright, so block format is designed not only for a quick and efficient preparation, but also for a quick and easy reading. In addition, in block format, each letter part should be aligned to the left. Here is an example of a block format. So in block format, the date and the inside address should be separated by two blank spaces, and every other component between the salutation and complementary clause should receive one full blank space of separation. And finally, there should be at least three spaces between the complementary clause and the signature block. Alright, now let us go to the next, which is the modified block format. So modified block format is a very similar to block format. Modified block format mixes preparation speed with the traditional placement of some letter parts. And also, this format also looks more balanced on the page than block format does. So here is an example of a modified block format. So in a modified block format, it is very similar to block format. However, the date, complementary closing, and signature block begin toward the middle page, which we can also see in the example. And also modified block also allows for optional paragraph indentation. Alright, now that we have discussed the block format and the modified block format, we will proceed to the next letter format, which will be presented by Miss Aroa.
The last letter format is the simplified format. It is a recent development that departs from conventional letter formats. Its streamlined form contains no salutation and no complementary clause, but it almost always includes a subject line. It's extremely useful for impersonal situations or for situations where the identity of the recipient is not known because it requires less typing and it so is faster to produce. It is gaining popularity. In personal situation, writer starts the first paragraph with the recipient's name. And just a comparison, simplified style letters contain all the same elements as the full block and semi-block letters. Like the full block format, the simplified format, left justifies every line except for the company logo or the letterhead, and let the date line is either slightly right on the center or flush with the centers of the page, and letters written in the simplified format have fewer internal sections such as the body, salutation, and the date line. Using the simplified style is the most useful at times when you don't have a recipient's contact name because the simplified style does not require a salutation. You don't need the person's name, and the simplified format does away with unneeded formality while maintaining a professional approach. And here is the example of a simplified style. This is the format. The top margin is set for 2 or 2.5. All text is to the left margins. No salutation as I mentioned earlier. And no subject of the letter in all caps. And no signature block type. The sender's name in all caps. In the format, we have the formatting in this simplified format. Set up the margins for the simplified format letter, and the right and the left margin should be 1 and 1/4 inches, and the top and the bottom margin should be 1.5 inches. The date of the letter should be placed 6 to the 10 spaces under your company's letterhead. Position the recipient's name, if available, and the company name and full address 2 to 4 spaces below the date of the letter. Do not include an opening salutation. Begin the first paragraph of or your let begin the first paragraph of your letter 2 spaces below the subject in the line, and single space each paragraph and place a full space between paragraphs. End with a closing salutation such as "Sincerely yours," then 5 spaces below the salutation, type your name in all capital letters. Immediately under your name, write down your title again in all capital letters. 2 spaces under your title, type your initials. If your office assistant types your correspondence, she should add a forward slash and her initials in lowercase letters. If you are including enclosed type, enclosure, 2 spaces below the initial block. And that's the formatting of the simplified format. So I hope you understand all the letter formats that we have. Thanks for listening.
Good day, everyone. So today we are going to tackle about the design elements. So I have a tip here before we start. So there are no legal requirements for the structure and design of business letters. So this means theoretically that you can use as many slides or graphics as you like. But however, both business partners and private customers will expect professional formatted letters. So the first design element that we're going to tackle about is the margins. So in the standard business letters, it is written in A4 format and is portrait oriented. So we recommend the following margins for this kind of documents. So for the upper margin, we have 45 minimum margin. For the lower margin, at least 25 minimum margin. For the left margin, we have 25 minimum margin. And lastly, for the right margin, we have 20 minimum margin. So I have here example of a formatted business letter, which consists of the design elements that we're going to tackle about. So let's now proceed to the font. So generally, there is no standard font for business letters. So entrepreneurs have freedom of choice here to pick a font that suits them. So the most commonly used fonts are the Times New Roman, Arial, or Helvetica. But however, all easy-to-read fonts with balanced proportions are suitable for business letters. So as long as the fonts are readable to the clients or the customers, then it suits the business letters. So Next, we have the font size. So in font size, we should write our business letters in 11 or 12-point font. And for documents with large text bodies, 11 is fine. But if the letter is shorter, then go for 12. Then this guide is based on the assumption that you're using one of the commonly used fonts in these sizes. So if your company uses an exotic font as part of its corporate design, then be sure to adjust the font size accordingly. So let's now proceed to the letterhead, which consists of the address field and the information block. So the image here is the example of the letterhead. So the upper part of the letterhead corresponds to the upper edge of the document. So starting from the page edge, 4.5 centimeter is freely available for your designs, or if you want to include business logos or any designs that you want, then you can place it there. So entrepreneurs usually place graphic elements like company logos or slogans in this area. So after 4.5 centimeter, the address field and the information block follow the upper margin. So next we have the address field. So in the address field, it is also called the window area, which contains the name and address of the recipient, as well as the return information. And then we should place the address field 4.5 centimeter below the top edge of the document and 2 centimeter from the left margin. So the window area width is 85 millimeter, and then the address text begins at a distance of zero point 0.5 centimeter from the left edge of the address window. So the height of the address field is 4.5 centimeter plus zero point 0.5 centimeter for return information. So this corresponds to a total of 10 lines of text. So the return information is followed by a three-line additional and node zone with a total height of 12.7 centimeter, and then the remaining six lines of the address field are intended for the recipient's address. So we should design the address without, or the address rather, without blank lines. So if you do not make any comments, the three lines between the return address and the recipient address must remain empty. So in this image, this is an example of the address field that we're talking about. So next we have the information block or reference character line. So in this example or in this image, we can see the information block or the character line or reference character line, which is colored by light blue. So the usual information or the information block starts 5 centimeter below the upper edge of the document and has the same height as the additional and node zone of the address field. So the usual information in the reference character line is first your reference, second is your message from, then followed by our reference and our message from, and then followed by the phone name and the date. So we should place the first word in the reference character line 2.5 centimeter from the left margin, and then the other keywords follow at a distance of 7.5 centimeter, 12.5 centimeter, and 17.5 centimeter. So the recommended date format for the information block or the reference sign line is month, day, and year with a full month or four-digit abbreviation or just be including the abbreviation point. So the information block is followed by the subject line with an interval of at least two blank lines.
So for the next design element is the subject line. The subject line is placed two blank lines below the information block or the reference character line. A line to the left and usually highlighted in bold. The distance from the left side edge is 2.5 centimeter. So the subject line, it describes the content or reason for a letter. It content reason for the letter in a few words. It may include a transaction or offer number if necessary, and it may extend over several lines. For the next design element is the greeting, text body, and greeting formula. The greeting and text body are placed at the distance of 2.5 cm from the left margin of the page and formatted left justified. So as you can see on the example, the greeting line is below the subject line. So the business letter title follow two blanks line after the subject line, ends with a comma and is separated from the rest of the text by following blank line. Example of greeting lines are Dear Sir or Madam, Hello Ma'am or Sir, or Dear Mr. Johnson to address. Next design element is the attachment note. The attachment note exactly three blank lines below the greeting formula, or if necessary, one blank line below the typewritten repetition of the signature. So the attachment note is introduced by the word attachments. Use this in a bold and without a colon, then list each plant in a separate line. So attachment note is basically you attach something on the letter that addresses to the sender or to the receiver of the letter. And last design element is the footer. The footer of business letters first page contains all the business information to which your entrepreneur is obliged according to its legal form. So as a rule, information on the sender business premises, means of communication, and account details is also provided here for the recipient. This letter foot should be placed with a distance of 2.5 centimeter to left and 2 centimeter to the right side edge. The height is variable and depends on the requirement, but should be at least 2.5 centimeter for readability's sake. The business information in the letter footer is generally grouped into thematic blocks. So that's all for the design elements. Thank you. And for the next topic will be the letter tone. So first, let's define what is a tone. During in-person communication, there are verbal, audio, and visual cues that conveys how you feel about what you are saying. For example, your facial expressions, voice pitch, and hand gesture will give the other person more information about your attitude toward a topic. So different tones in writing achieve a similar goal to illustrate through your words your emotional perspective about what you are communicating. Certain words, sentence structures, and punctuation choices elicit different types of tone. So there are many types of tone, making possibilities endless as you craft your personal voice in your writing. The next slides are the 10 most common tones as well as specific vocabulary and techniques you can use to achieve them.
First is the formal. A formal writing tone is common in academic or professional contexts. In this tone focuses on being thorough and direct, yet respectful. It uses full words rather than constructions and emphasis on facts and grammatical correctness. In a formal tone, you may use words such as the committee will not vote on the matter according to the data to whom it may concern, or respectfully yours. Next is an informal. An informal tone is the opposite of a formal tone. The informal tone in writing is conversational and expressive, similar to how you'd speak to a friend. It uses constructions, colloquial phrases, and more emotion. Each sentence structure can be shorter with choppy rhythm, or it can be long and chatty. For examples, na I've got tons of time to do chores, or hey, what's up?
In writing. First is we have optimistic. When writing in an optimistic tone, you're conveying a sense of hope and a positive outlook for the future. Even when acknowledging today's challenges, the uplifting language gives readers aspiration. For example, is that David said with reassuring smile, hopeful and hung in there. Next is we have worried. A worried tone can make a reader apprehensive and afraid. It communicates feelings of anxiousness about something that's unknown. For example, is that my hand tentatively reached a knob, shaking as I held my breath, rocked back and forth, looking out for the window every second, and stressed.
Let us proceed to the next type of tone, which is friendly. So a friendly tone is a non-threatening and elicit trust. This tone can also have a mix of formal and informal tones depending on what you're writing. So generally, it is a light-hearted and kind. And in addition, exclamation points can convey warmth and enthusiasm. So here are the examples of a friendly tone. So Esther gave me a cheerful thumbs up from behind the curtain. And the next is what a sweet puppy. And the last example is happy birthday buddy. That is an example of a friendly tone. So let's go to the next one, which is the curious tone. So a curious tone is writing tells the reader that there are compelling details that you still want to uncover. So basically, this tone can be used creatively to keep the reader intrigued about learning more. So here are the example of a curious tone. The mystery gift didn't reveal the sender's name. And the next is Tilly had a list of questions in her brain, hungry to uncover the truth. So that is an example of the curious tone. So let us proceed to the next type of tones.
These are the other types of tone. We have here assertive and encouraging. And let's focus first on assertive tone. An assertive tone exudes confidence and authority. It can also be insistent and straightforward. This tone can be used to help you persuade your audience about a topic. And assertiveness is a particular way of communicating with others that is direct and honest, but also respectful. An assertive communicator knows what they want and what they think, and they are not afraid to ask it for it directly. They don't get angry or let their emotions dominate them, though. Like what I said a while ago, assertiveness means expressing your point of view in a way of being clear and direct while still respecting others. Communicating in an assertive manner can help you to have the following, or it can help you to achieve the following: minimize conflict, control anger, have your needs better met, have more positive relationship with friends, family, and others. Assertiveness is a style of a communication which many people struggle to practice because they are confused about what is the real meaning of assertive. And in assertive, the main factor is our emotions, and we should control our emotions because in every response we have be more passionate, or we must be more aware on how we're going to react in a certain situation. Next is we have the encouraging. An encouraging tone is supportive in understanding. It gives readers reassurance to overcome their fears and take actions. Some example phrases in encouraging are: I remember mom's advice to take a deep breath and jump in. Second is embolden. And lastly, you've got this. These phrases shows that being supporting an asserting person, like it is encouraging you to fight, to be brave and to face your fears. An encouraging tone, like being or giving some sympathy or empathy, just to make an assurance that everything will be fine. And it's about encouraging tone is a supportive, and you may feel that you're being understood. That's for the assertive and encouraging tone. So let's proceed with the next tones.
Let's now proceed to the surprise tone in writing. So, when writing with a surprise tone, you are capturing something unexpected. So, the tone could elicit different types of astonishment, such as joy or shock. So when someone gave us a gift out of nowhere or without any celebration, then we will be surprised because we do not expect anything on that day or on that specific situation. And then another example, when someone tells you that he opened the door and his eyes widened upon seeing me. So we will basically conclude that that person is surprised because his eyes widened. So, if a person saw someone unexpectedly, then the action or the first facial expression that will be going to be seen in his or her face is the widening of eyes because this kind of facial expression signifies that a person is shocked or surprised about something. And then in the cooperative tone, it is common in the workplace. So your word choice often evoking positivity and collaboration, and use of the pronoun we work together to invite mutual participation toward a shared goal. So, for example, when someone told you, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. So, they are being cooperative since they want you or they want some cooperation from you because they are including your or they includes your opinions or insights about something. So another example is we would like to hear your opinions on this. So commonly, this kind of tone can be seen also in schools, especially if a teacher give activities or groupings in students or to the students. So basically, they need to cooperate with each other. So this cooperative tone will be obviously seen as they talk with each other. So this cooperative tone helps us or helps the team to easily achieve their goals since they all cooperate and they all understand or they all um, includes the opinions and
And for the last topic is the common types of letters or the three common types of letters. First on the list is the formal letter. These letters follow a certain pattern and formality. They are strictly kept professional in nature and directly address the issues concerned. Any type of business letter or letter to authorities falls within this given category. So formal letters are written using simple but structured sentences that deliver information in a concise manner. They often convey important and serious pieces of information that need to be recorded in a proper manner. So, formal letters are especially used when you are writing to your um, to your business partner or business leader or authorities that especially those there are hierarchy and position. So that's when they use formal letter. Next will is the informal letter. When we say informal letter, these are personal letters. They need not follow any set patterns or adhere to any formalities. They contain personal information or are a written conversation. Informal letters are generally written to friends, acquaintances, relatives, etc. So informal letters are written to family, friends, and relative, and also to someone with whom you do not share any professional relation. However, it does not exclude workers and business partners with whom you share a friendly relation. The writing is casual and is friendly in nature. Informal letters are mainly used for personal communication, so they do not have to follow any specific pattern, formats, or conventions. They can be written as per the writer or the writer's wishes and the requirements of the situation. So the letters is written in a personal fashion in casual, unassuming language. And for the last type of common letters is the business letter. This letter is written among business correspondence, generally contains commercial information such as quotations, orders, complaints, claims, letters for collection, etc. Such letters are always strictly formal and follow structure and pattern for formalities. So a business letter is used primarily to request or provide information, to relate deal, to bring and continue conversation, or to discuss prior negotiation. A business letter can be classified as private, however, it is typically not circulated to others, but rather meant for the eyes of the participants involved. Therefore, a business letter needs to be clear, focused, and to the point. When writing a business letter, the author or the writer should avoid interjecting personal stories. According to Ricks and Go, the primary purposes of business letters are to inform, instruct, request, inquire, remit, order, advise, correct, and to question. That is why there are different types of business letter like cover letters, letter of recommendation, thank you letters, apology letters, termination letters, and resignation letters. So thank you for listening. That would be all for the common types of letters.